computer. Hello, Bob.
Hey, g'day, Lindsay.
Welcome on my YouTube channel. I just started it, and this is the first time speaking to someone in English, so that's new for me. But I was really looking forward to our conversation. I saw you in a conversation with what was her name? Catherine. And I really loved the conversation and hearing about your journey, overcoming depression. And so I contacted you to have a chat, a heart-to-heart talk about all these things, about the depression, but especially about overcoming and becoming the commander of your life. Yay!
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Creating your life,
Yeah.
and not being codependent and all that kind of things. You live in Australia, but originally you are from UK.
Yeah.
So when did you
Emigrate?
Emigrated? Yes.
November 1989.
How old was you?
I was born in 1952. 89. That makes me 37 when I emigrated.
Okay.
When we emigrated,
yeah,
family.
with your whole family. So you had a wife and kids.
Yeah.
And you thought, okay, let's leave the UK, start over again. Yeah. You needed that.
Yeah, it's stunning. Right, I think, Lindsay, the best thing I can do is just to quickly relate my story. And if any questions pop up, we can, sort of bounce off of that. And I've got an abbreviated version of my story. And I've created what I call a roadmap that, how can I put it? Where I am now, this is what drives my life. This is my Bob's commandments, if you like. For me, we are all Sue. We are all sovereign, unique, and equal. And everything else just flows from that. And the universe operates under the KISS principle. Keep it simple, sovereign, because life is supposed to be simple.
Yes.
And by sovereign, it just means that I am my own kingdom. I have my own boundaries, and I am responsible for everything within those boundaries. Meeting my needs is my job. So that's where I'm coming from. And my life is amazing now because I do create it, but how I got there will fall out of my little roadmap. And I call it the 5 stages of healing by Bob Eden.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
Okay, will do, darling. Well, the 5 stages are, for me, and this is a Bob original, nobody else has done this as far as I know anyway. The first stage was innocence. The second stage was victimhood. Third stage, survivor. Stage 4 was the stage of recovery. And then finally, stage 5 is the stage of contentment. So here we go. Stage number 1, innocence. This stage began when I was born as a magical, innocent being, and the world was a wondrous place. This lasted for less than 2 years when, through abuse, I moved into stage 2. Now, stage 2, victimhood. As a small child, I was unable to defend myself and became a victim of my violent surroundings. This stage lasted till I was about 12 or 13 and was able to say no, and defend myself. Mm-hmm. And then stage 3, survivor. And so I started maturing as a survivor, but I was using the fight or flight behaviors I had developed as a child, as a victim, like being perfect, being the people pleaser, believing what adults told me. That was a bloody mistake. This stage lasted till I was about 32 years old and had my first panic attack when I began my dance with depression. And although it did not feel like it then, this marked my shift into stage 4. And stage 4 was recovery. 1984 was the beginning of my recovery. Unfortunately, I wasted about 20 years trying to think my way out of depression. I have an amazing intellect. My IQ is 150. Einstein was 160. Go figure, you know. But it did not help solve my problems. Now, looking back, I call this the trap of the intellect. The trap of the intellect.
Yeah, I love that.
Because for me, the mind is always looking for answers, but the heart already knows. Anyway, in 1992, I came across John Bradshaw's work on the inner child, and so I began healing the wounds of my childhood, deprogramming myself from codependent behavior, and re-establishing my belief in me. At this time, I've been taking various antidepressants for about 10 years, with another 10 years to go. In 2005, when I became a ship's captain, the bomb dropped. You know, the light bulb went off. Bugger, Bob. The buck stops with you. You are totally responsible for the lives of all these people on the vessel. You're responsible for everything. So what I did was I took that ideology and applied it to my whole life. Now, I am master and commander of my life, and I take full responsibility for this life that I do create. Anyway, as I'm responsible for my life, I've got this pain in my life that's depression. So I thought I'd just sit down with the pain and have a look at it. And then again, I just realized that this pain that I was feeling was just a natural human response to having to live in such a corrupt and evil society. And also, I wasn't living my truth. I was living my programming. You know, all the crap that got beaten into me over the years from parents. Well, it's not an education system, is it? It's an indoctrination system.
Yes.
At school. And so that's where the pain was coming from. And how did I get out of it? Yeah. Well, in 1992, I just lost my place here. Sorry. Yeah, in 1992, I came across John Bradshaw's work on the inner child. And so I began healing the wounds of my childhood. And it was amazing. With my partner at the time, I was living in Fremantle, Western Australia. We bought all of John Bradshaw's videotapes and used to hold group sessions twice a week for people.
I didn't know John Bradshaw. This.
Yeah.
But it's I'm working with the inner child also, just intuitive trauma healing. So,
you know, over a very short period of time, I was word perfect on all of his videos. You know, it was just all a part of me. Yeah, so I think I'll step into detail here, because that healing the wounds of my childhood this is the hardest thing I ever did. In my journey, I got to the stage where my mum, as a child, my mum was just prone to violent outbursts of anger. You know, she'd just lash out. So, and Dad was a workaholic. He was never there. And in my journey, I got to this stage where, God, I hate you, Mum. I hate you, Mum. Why were you always beating me? You know? Oh. But you've got to love your mum. You've only got one mum.
Yeah.
And it was that dichotomy that was tearing my soul apart. So, and this is the hardest thing I ever did, was I sat down and wrote a letter, the letter to Mum. Dear Mum, just writing to tell you, This is not about blame. Please tell me your story. Anyway, I got that right away. Mum, I hated you when you hit me with a frying pan. I hated it when you dangled me by my wrist and beat me with a carpet sweeper. I hated it when you blamed me for the scar on your belly. And what I thought was just going to be 1 or 2 pages ended up being about, like War and Peace. It was huge, but I got everything out and put it down on paper.
Yes.
And then at the end of it, I just repeated, Mum, this is not about blame. Please tell me your story, your loving son, Bob. And then I posted the letter to her in England. And that's probably the hardest thing I ever did, actually posting it, Oh, eventually I got a letter back from Mum saying, oh, Bobby, you must think I'm the worst mother in the whole world, but I was only doing my best. And so I wrote back and said, Mum, this is not about blame. This is about understanding. Please tell me your story. So eventually she wrote back, and she was born in Germany in 1924, between the wars. Dad was an alcoholic, and Mum was a control freak. And from the rest of her story, she had a very abusive and violent childhood as well. And then once I got that information, yes, Mum was doing her very, very best. But all she was doing, all she could do, was dump on me what got dumped on her. She knew no different. Yeah. And so by writing that letter to Mum, I actually broke the multi-generational cycle of abuse. Because if you don't hand it back, you pass it on. It's another one of my little bumper stickers. So I'm walking around as if somebody's taken an elephant off my shoulders, going, yay, this is great, yeah. But hang on. I've got a little niggle here. What's this niggle? Right, Dad, you bastard. So I got the notepad out and wrote a similar letter to Dad, who had died. I don't know where or quite when, but so I just wrote a similar letter. Dear Dad, why didn't you come to school sports days? Why didn't you take me fishing? Why didn't you spend any time with me? And just put it in an envelope. Your loving son, Bob. Put it in an envelope and put to Dad in heaven, and then just burned it. And in that way, I healed the wounds of my childhood, and my healing was not complete until I could forgive my abusers. For the messages I got from Mum was, Mum is always beating me, therefore she does not love me. Therefore.
Oh, I lost you there. Oh.
And the second message I got from Mum was, and the world is a dangerous place, because I used to live in a state of constant anxiety, which resurfaced later as an adult and was called an illness, but it wasn't. It was just old baggage. Anyway, and then the message I got from Dad was, Dad never spends any time with me, therefore he does not love me, therefore I'm unlovable, and it's all my fault. For a child that's being abused does not stop loving its abusers, it stops loving itself.
Yes. And all the messages they give you will become your beliefs about yourself.
Yeah, well, during those formative first 7 years, the home environment, however dysfunctional, is home. And so, it ends up being embedded in the subconscious. And then you carry that feeling of what you expect home to be like into adult life, and then you start recreating that environment in your adult life when it's totally inappropriate.
Projecting it all over again. Again and again.
Anyway, so step 5, contentment. Well, now I am content with me. I found my own truth. And I know it is my truth because it resonates with my heart. I totally trust my inner tuition. And my life now is so simple. For I live in heart space, not head space. And my life is unfolding just as I've directed it to. My life is awesome, for I create it that way. that as master and commander, once I came to that realization, I thought, well, what's my life purpose? Well, I'm master. I'll set my own life purpose. There you go. So I set my life purpose to simply just find my own truth. So bang, I got the big one out of the way. Most people spend their whole lives wondering what their purpose is. And then I thought, well, as a spiritual being having this physical experience, how do I want to experience this life? So I set my own conscious life intention, which is, I am here to have a gentle, joyful, loving, healthy, and abundant life. That I am is a very powerful statement. I am here to have, that's my command to the universe, but also my address, so the universe knows where to deliver it. So since I put
can you repeat that again?
Command,
I am here.
I am here to have, and then whatever you want.
Whatever you want. Yes.
Yeah. But I am here.
That's really powerful, because you're really demanding, and you're owning it.
Oh, but also I am commanding the universe. The universe is there to serve me.
Yeah.
You know, we are creators. We are co-creators.
Yes.
And since I put that command in place, probably years now, that's just how my life is unfolding. I do not have to do anything. You know, I'm just kicking back and letting the universe do all the hard work. And that's why I've got no fear of the future, because I've developed my own sense of noticing. You know, I've got my own sort of webcam looking down on me and how my life goes and how I interact with people. But I know that anything that's coming towards me from the future will come in alignment with my conscious life intention.
Yes.
So, you know, I've got no fear of the future, and I face my own death probably about a dozen times to take too much too seriously. But after that work I did with posting the letter, I was on my boat, and this is probably about 2005, 2006. I sat down and asked myself this question, Bob, excuse me, what's the longest relationship you've had in your life? And the answer was simple, with me. Nobody has known me longer than me. Ergo, why am I listening to other people saying there's something wrong with me? You know, and that's what sort of drove me to look at that pain of depression, you know, because psychologists and psychiatrists were telling me, oh, you got a mental illness, you know. And from the research and my life experience going back 36 years, this is just a general overview, but psychiatrists sort of give you pills to medicate the pain. You know, the power of the pain, the power of those feelings was overwhelming. And then psychologists try to give you coping skills so that you can live with the pain. And I didn't want to live with it. I knew in my heart that I couldn't go back and change my past, but I could go back and heal it.
Heal it, yes.
And so, and one of the things about me not living my truth prompted the question, well, I've been listening to all these other people telling me how I should live and what I should do and what's wrong with me. When did I stop believing in me? That was the next question I asked myself. And so I was about 4 3/4 years old, and it was a Sunday morning, and I got out of bed and put on my red t-shirt and brushed my teeth and combed my hair and bounced down to breakfast, feeling very grown up, and sat at the table. And Mum said, Bobby, go upstairs and put on your blue t-shirt. You know you love your blue t-shirt. So I stood up confused, thinking, well, no, I put on my red t-shirt. I love my red t-shirt. But Mum must be right, because she's Mum, and she's also very violent. and she's about 80 foot tall. So, so I went up and changed and put on my blue t-shirt, and that was the first crack in my armor, if you like. That was the first time I stopped believing in myself. But it's a habit that just got compounded as I went through life, and I totally lost the belief in myself. I was, as I said earlier, I just ended up living my programming. Yeah, I was just living my programming.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, what I really love. What I really love about you said before, when you wrote a letter to your mother, to your mom, you said, "Mom, it's not about blame." People always, especially moms, it's my experience too, they are always concerned about blame, shaming and blaming. But it's, so I really love the way you just told us that you say, "Mom, what's your story? This is my story, and this is what's your story. Just want to know your story." That's beautiful said, because that's detangling the relationship and the traumas. You setting the boundaries. I have my story, my experience, and you have yours. We created our own, and there was this attachment because it's your mom. But when you are an adult, you don't have to be tangled anymore. You can detangle yourself and set yourself free. I really love the way you did that with this letter. You were really conscious about that part. Not only the part of, okay, I have to write everything off my shoulders, but it's also about the way you did it, and took responsibility for your story and asked her to tell her story. I think there starts the forgiveness where you were talking about.
Yeah, once I'd heard her story, it's like all my anger disappeared.
Yes.
Because I understood where she was coming from. She wasn't being vindictive. She wasn't being nasty. She was just running on her programming.
Yes.
And the caveat to Mum's story is about 18 months after I got her letter, I managed to phone her in England, and she was back in hospital with a second bout of bowel cancer. I managed to get through to her in the hospital. And that was the first time we spoke as mother and son, as two adults. And we're both crying our eyes out, And then the following day she died.
Oh my God.
And that was such a beautiful closure.
Yes.
To get that closure. Now, recently, I've been in touch with Mum through this medium.
Yes.
Yeah. And she shared stuff with me that only Mum and I knew. And Mum was saying, Bobby, thank you so much for writing that letter, because she is now healing the wounds of her childhood with her parents in the beyond. And that just blew me away. That's just so fantastic.
That's how it works. Yeah, you can heal. You can heal. Start healing when you have this closure. My mom died. She was 53, cancer. I had really a tough relationship with her, and I had contact. She visited me through guides or through mediums, and she really thanked me for being me. And it's really nice that to feel that's all okay, and they can view from another viewpoint when they leave the earth. And that's very healing too, to get such a message. But really, she asked me to forgive her. And she needed that to go on, even on the other side. Yeah, so we are healing traumas. And that's a big part of it.
Well, we were, I reckon we were born to have a magical, wondrous, joyous living experience. But somehow we've created the actual antithesis of that. But things are changing.
Yes, I think we have a plan, and we choose our parents and our experiences just to set ourselves free again, and heal the traumas, and become the commander and the powerful being we really are. So you cannot.
And that was key. That was key for me, Lindsay.
Yeah.
When I was sitting on the boat, I realized that this is when I gave away all my antidepressants, threw them away. I realized that what I was afraid of was the power of the feelings that I was experiencing. I was so frightened of how powerful they are until I realized that their power was my power. That is how powerful I am.
Yes.
And I shouldn't be afraid of them. I should embrace them, for they are the measure of how mighty I am.
Yes.
That thing that just, And so I feel now as if I'm made of titanium with a bit of cotton wool, so I can cuddle too. But within the silence of my heart, I found a place I call my knowing, and my knowing has no words, but it is in that place where my contentment resides. It's in that place where I have my connection to source.
Yeah.
Like
God 0 point.
Man. God created man. Man created religion. When I connect to source, I don't go the long way round. Why would you? Why would you?
Nee.
But
we are the creators.
Yeah. I say to people, and it pisses off a lot of people, I say, if you're not creating your life, who is? And they go, huh?
Huh? Yes.
Huh? What do you mean?
I am the victim of all these other people. I am the victim of all the others.
Bullshit.
Yes. But that's the programming too. Yeah? We are weak. We are sick. We have to take meds. We can't heal. We have to live with the pain. You said, I'm a psychologist. We were talking about that before we went live, but that's, I am a psychologist, but I moved away as soon as I could, because I really felt from my intuition and from my heart, it's really strange to only work on the surface. I was always like, yeah, but I can feel it's underneath there, and I want to go to the core of the issue, and I want to heal that. It took me years to discover through my own healing and through my own process to feel and see, okay, that's what I was sensing when I was a student in psychology. And I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do.
Well, really good on you, darling.
What?
Good on you. Good on you. It's an Australian word. Good on you.
Good on you.
Good on you. Good on ya. Good on ya.
Good on ya.
Good on.
It's really, for me, it's really strange. I'm very intuitive to work on behavior, and when I know it's when I can sense it, and when I can feel it, it's in there, and I can feel the child, and I can feel the sorrow, and I can feel the anger, and that's what depression is. It's just depressing all the feelings because you're afraid.
Well,
It's overwhelming.
well, yeah. What springs to my heart is this whole thing about psychology is trying to establish a norm, what is normal behavior. And so it's wrong from the beginning because we are all unique.
Unique, yes.
Yeah. So that premise of looking for the norm is totally ridiculous from the get-go. And for me, depression is it's nothing to do with the mind. It's a wound of the soul. It's a wound of the spirit. It's a wound that's saying, it's like your heart slapping your brain about saying, wake up and live your truth. And I'm going to keep slapping you until you do wake up. But unfortunately, a lot of people don't. But that is changing because when I look globally, more and more people are having these issues about a state of disease. And for me, there is no such thing as mental illness. And as an example of that, I'll just take PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. And, we got all these veterans coming back from the war zones and just having a horrific life. But it's understandable. For me, the biggest sin, the biggest soul wound that anybody can create for themselves is to go to another country and shoot somebody and kill somebody that looks like you. Now, that is the ultimate sin. And for that sin, there is a price to pay. And that price is the pain that you experience in the physical because of what you've allowed to happen in the spiritual.
Yes.
You denied your heart, you've denied your moral compass, you've just gone in there with this gung-ho.
Totally agree. Yeah.
Programming. And so, and ADHD, childhood is not a mental illness. Like when I was a young blood, I couldn't sit still. I ran everywhere. And so you got kids in the classroom now going like this, going like this. Oh, he's got ADHD. No, he just doesn't want to be sitting still for 6 hours. He wants to be out running through the forests, Yeah.
Especially the high sensitive kids with all the light, the very powerful light children we have now. They have so much frequency in them, in these little tiny bodies. And it's just, they can't handle the frequencies. That's what I'm mentioning. So they have to really learn how to earth themselves so they can be more the director or the commander in chief to handle this body. If you're a starseed and you are not used to be in a body, and you have all this high energy, it's like I have a son, and I was watching videos from when he was, I think, 1 year. No, not even 1 year. He was in a little seat, and it's just going all the way. It's just okay. I can imagine that it's just like, what is this? What's this body? Where I am? Where am I?
But what I've come to realize is that, and I said this back in 1969, I was 17, and I said it to my two mates, Rod and Dave, all this crap's got to stop. We've got to stop worshipping science and technology and get back to community and nature. But then I got locked into the matrix for the next 40 years. But I still hold that as truth. For me, science is the sickness and nature is the cure.
And you are a scientist or a researcher, aren't you?
Yeah. I actually worked as a lubrication oil formulation scientist once. And that's a black art. Oh, yeah. I've had some great jobs in my life, but they were all about feeding the intellect.
Yes, it's all about the head and not about
Yeah.
the heart.
And how I got out of that was in 1995. I was working in automotive research here in Australia, and I'm still battling with depression. And I went to my boss and said, Chris, I fear if I lose this job, I'll die. So I quit. And I bought a combi, Volkswagen combi, love and peace, man, and at a folk festival. And I put a pop top on it and got it set up for touring around Australia. And I put my house on the market. And whatever wouldn't fit into the combi, I sold or gave away. And the first thing that didn't fit was the television, the TV. So I haven't had a TV since 1995. And when I set off on my first tour of Australia with the funds from my selling my house, it was like the first time in my life that I had to spend time alone with me. It was like going out into the desert, 40 days and 40 nights. It was that sort of journey. And I had Shakti Gawain's book with me on creative visualization. And so when I was in research, my mind was like a tree full of chattering monkeys. And, it was just totally invasive. How I got to listen to my heart was how I learned to silence my mind. And this is how I did it. I work in pictures inside here.
Yes, me too.
I make movies in here. And it's like a James Bond movie. I'm running down this tunnel with the fluorescent lights and dum 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 dum. And at the end of the tunnel, there's these big glass sliding doors. And as I approach them, they slide open, and I can hear the stark satanic hum of the hard drives of my mind. And over on the right-hand wall, there's a big red switch. So I roll over to the big red switch, and above it, somebody put a health warning. Please be aware that thinking can seriously damage your well-being. Thought, spot on, mate. So I just grabbed hold of the big red switch and went clunk and turned my mind off. I can hear it spinning down. And so for weeks and weeks, I just kept playing that movie over and over and over in my mind until this little phrase popped out that my mind is just a tool that I use when I choose, for I am so much more than my mind. And again, that became my mantra for a while, and it still is. But now I treat my mind like I treat my little.
Oh, I lost you again.
Hey?
I lost you for a sec. I think you were saying like the tool, you use your mind as a tool, like you use your
Puppy dog.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm a good master, and I know my dogs need exercise, so I do the same with my mind. I say, mind, come here. Go off and do some research into sonoluminescence or something and come back and report to me. So off my mind trots, wagging its little tail because it's sense of attention from the master. And it comes back to me and reports. And I say, put it on the head, give it a little treat. And I say, thank you very much, mind. Now get back in your basket. I'll take you for another run tomorrow. Now that's how I utilize and silence my mind. And since I silenced my mind, I could really clearly hear my heart. And for me, my heart is my only compass, and my intuition is my only guide. And I've actually bet my life on trusting my intuition. And this is I lost my boat in 2017 to Cyclone Debbie, and it was a couple of years before that. So probably about 2015, I was on the boat, 7:30 at night, and it's dark up here in the tropics at that time. So I'm in Pioneer Bay, surrounded by mangrove trees where crocodiles live. And I'm down below on my laptop on my dog's Facebook page, which always got a giggle. And all of a sudden, the lights went dim. And I looked over, peered over at the voltmeter. No, 12.8 volts. That's all good. And I couldn't breathe. I couldn't breathe. And just here, there was this black, wispy, silky, ethereal presence.
Oh.
And it didn't matter how far I turned my head. And I thought, oh no, hello, old friend. I thought, you know, it was the Grim Reaper had come to get me, and it was all over, Red Rover. You know, I was going to die. So I still couldn't breathe. So I just typed into the Facebook, hey guys, if I don't post anything in the next 20 minutes, can you get Marine Rescue to come out and get Barnaby? Because I thought that after he'd eaten me, if I died after he'd eaten me, he'd die, you know. And so I'm still sitting there, and I don't know about you, but in near-death experiences, for me, time is irrelevant. It's just frozen. And so I still couldn't breathe. I could have typed in, hey, get the ambos over here. You know, I think I'm having a stroke or blah, blah, blah. But I just sat quietly and centered within my body and then let my body take over. So I'm sitting down below, naked. You do, living on a boat in the tropics. Well, I did anyway. It saves on washing clothes. and keep it simple, sovereign. Keep it simple.
Yes.
Yeah, and I let my body do what it needed to do, and it just walked up the companionway out onto the deck, and I looked up at the sky, and I could see 2 full moons, and then I just threw myself into the bay. So it's after dark when sharks feed. I'm surrounded by crocodile habitat, but I just jumped into the ocean, and I lay back like a great big starfish, and then all of a sudden I just went... And I was breathing again. And that is the night that I consciously chose to bet my life on trusting my intuition. That was my rite of passage.
Wow.
Pretty bizarre, pretty extreme. But I wasn't breathing. So, you know, what other choice did I have?
Oh my God,
you know,
yes.
I wasn't breathing. So
but you were surrendering.
I couldn't breathe.
You were surrendering to life.
To my belief in me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I don't want to see loads of people jumping off boats. But in tribal cultures, you know, for thousands of years, a child is raised by its parents, raised by its community. But there comes a time in a child's life where they are taken through a rite of passage to bring them to emotional and spiritual maturity. That doesn't happen in Western society anymore.
Yeah, we really lost such beautiful, important. Oh, you're unmuting.
Yeah, I just had to cough.
Oh, okay.
You didn't need to hear that.
But it's really, really sad to see what we lost on our way as a humanity. And we have to come back to it, to all these natural, original things. And
well, what gives me great comfort, and I'll send you the link if I haven't already. Right in about 2003, I came across a guy called Ian Zell Lungold, and his work on the Mayan calendar. And he has a presentation that goes on for about 3 hours. And I watched it, and I was, at the end of it, it was as if I was hit by a truck. You know, it's everything that he said just went bang, bang, bang. And like the Mayans predicted the birth of the internet, but they called it the birth of global consciousness.
Yes.
Now, if the internet isn't the birth of global consciousness, I do not know what is. And then in 2012, everybody was panicking because they were saying, oh, the Mayans are saying the world's coming to an end. No, they weren't. They were saying that in 2012, one age is ending and a new age is beginning. And so on the 21st of December 2012, the age of integrity started overcoming the age of power. And it's it takes a while. And so when I look around me at all the mayhem in our, in our society, and it's getting more and more ridiculous. It's totally understandable, because the beast is afraid. The beast knows it's dying. The empire is over, and it's becoming more and more ridiculous in its final death throes. And more people are discovering their own truth, because now that we can all share, almost instantaneously, that's giving other people courage to do the journey and find their own truth. And although it's a hard time for a lot of people, I think if the evolution of consciousness is exponential. Really? Yeah. And so.
Oh, losing you again. Working on the internet.
I can hear you.
Yeah. Sometimes it's a little bit.
It's all right. We're doing well. No worries, mate. That's another phrase we have down here. No worries.
No worries, mate.
No worries, mate. Hey, you're sounding like an Aussie. Sheila. I have to start calling you Sheila. Yeah.
But we have this exponential growth of consciousness.
Yeah. And if consciousness is evolving, then so is wisdom. So I love the wisdom of the tribal cultures, and that's a good platform. And what I'm pondering is what does the wisdom of today look like? And I think that we are a measure of the wisdom. The people that are waking up, we are adding to that pool of wisdom. And I see creation as a huge, big jigsaw puzzle. And every being holds one piece of the jigsaw puzzle. Unfortunately, most people are holding a piece that's still brown on both sides, But as each individual heals themselves, they are coloring in their own piece of the jigsaw puzzle. And the more they heal, the more they color in. And when they put it on the table with everybody else that's coloring in their own piece, the bigger picture becomes clearer for us all. And that's what I see happening. People are waking up, coming to the same realization that I did, that we're not supposed to, live as slaves. We're supposed to live like dolphins. They giggle all the time. That's what I do. I giggle a lot.
Yeah, I really love dolphins. I'm
come on my boat.
I have dolphin energy, certainly. It's all surrounding me here, and I really, from childhood, I'm a swimmer. Felt best in the water. Was always in the water when I could swim. I was swimming, and and I'm telling people always, just play. If you play, you can discover, you can do great things and enjoy.
Well, my life is simple. Keep it simple, sovereign. I totally obey my body. Like when my body is tired, we sleep. And when my body is awake, we play. Simple.
Yes.
And if I can do it, anybody can. Look, the only person that takes you seriously is you. Hey.
Yeah, it's the programming, It's the programming. People are so programmed to follow and to give their power away, to do things because they think it's expected.
Yeah.
It's all from this child, this inner child, this wounded child you were talking about. We're still trying to get safety from outside instead of inside.
There is no out there, is there?
As
the
a child,
the inner world creates the outer world. For me, anyway.
Yes, I always say so inside, so out, and that's the mirror you get. So if you want to look in the mirror and you know what's inside, And if it's not nice what you're seeing, you have to heal something. If the
Well,
experience is not what you want, then you have to heal something.
well, how I operate my life is it's got I've got this app and it's called Common Sense.
That's a good one.
And for me, whatever is not nurturing in my life, I simply call the beast, and I no longer feed the beast. Why would you? So I don't give any time, energy, or attention to all the crap and corruption that's going on. I give my attention to all the beautiful things in my life and creating more of those.
Yes,
It's
that's very
simple.
important.
Yeah.
Especially in these times when things are really going crazy. You have to create your own beautiful world with your own beautiful experiences.
Well, my life is abundant. If you want to have an abundant life, live abundantly. I, because I feel abundant about my life, so it is.
Yes.
Yeah. But
And
that
what's
comes from within me.
yes. So when you feel this abundance, how would you describe it? Because it's not about money, or it's not about a big house, or
It's it's contentment. I am so content with me. I don't need for anything. I don't want for anything. The universe is looking after my life through my command, my conscious life intention. And so I go through my day like a butterfly. Something will grab my attention, and I'll go and do that. And then something else will grab my attention, and I'll go and do that. And then my body says, "Oh, I'm tired. We're going to sleep." Okay. But, I just flip from whatever grabs my attention. And for me, creating, manifesting stuff in my life is easy. It's just attention plus intention leads to manifestation. So
yes.
what I give my attention to, I become conscious of. It's so simple.
Yeah, and you start from the heart. That's a very important thing when you want to manifest, because it has to do with the love or with the heart, and not from fear.
Yeah.
You can manifest from fear, but that's not what you want to manifest. We did that a lot
Well,
in the
yeah.
programming.
What I've noticed is love is what you're born with, fear is what you learn.
Yes, beautiful
But you don't
said.
have to.
And
You don't have to.
what would you tell the people who are struggling now in these times? Because a lot of people are now feeling depressed more and more, because they are all in lockdowns, and the compression is getting higher and higher, and the fear is pumping in. They pump the fear in on and on and on.
Well, there comes a time when, look, we're all sovereign, unique, and equal. And I worked as a counsellor and realised that I can't wake anybody up. That's not my job. That's their
No.
job. It's their job to wake up. But when the pressure gets enough and you're sitting on that knife edge of staying a victim or facing your demons, then you've just got to find the courage within yourself to go and face your demons. Because for me, by facing my demons, I turn them into angels. And you've got to go to those dark places, because the only thing you're afraid of is your own feelings. And I don't know anybody that died of feeling, but I know lots of people that have died from not feeling.
Yes.
Feelings are healings. Follow the feelings, follow your heart.
Oh, lost you a little bit. Yeah, follow the heart, follow the feelings. Beautiful said, feelings are healings. But we are such people are really afraid of their feelings. We learned to suppress all the feelings and
They don't want us to feel. They don't want us to feel, because then if everybody felt like I did, they wouldn't have power over anyone.
Yes.
So the whole system is set up to be robots, to not express your feelings.
Yeah, really not express it. So you want to feel, they want to create some fear in you. Just enough to do the programming. And,
the more people are afraid, the more they're happy to lose their rights.
And when people, I know depression for myself, but I never felt depressed enough to want to commit suicide, for example. I never felt that urge. People, when they're really getting depressed, they just want to skip life.
End it all. Yeah.
End it all.
I know that place.
Yeah, you did?
I know that place. It's a dark place.
It's a dark place. And is it that place when you turn around because you have this choice? Is it the dark night of the soul? Because
yeah, I'll send you something I wrote on that and call it simply thank you. I'll email it to you.
Yes. Because I didn't experience that. I'm too I want life too bad, I think. It's just too much life in me.
There's always the next life. If I don't learn all the lessons that I need in this life, then I'll just carry on in the next life and learn the lessons that I need. But although my life was very brutal in the beginning, every step I've ever taken, however painful, has brought me here right now to contentment.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Moving. Just got to keep taking the next step, and that's all I've done. And so thanks for this invitation. It's the more people I can reach with this message that there is no such thing as mental illness, and that depression is just a spiritual wake-up call.
Yes.
When you throw a stone in a pond, you never know how far the ripples go, do you? So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I really liked to talk to you. So thank you for accepting the invitation.
No worries. There are no coincidences, are there?
What? Sorry?
There are no coincidences. Life is all about synchronicity.
Yes. Yes, I think so. We're creating it. We just, the vibes here and the vibes there meeting, and then we are meeting. So that's what happened. So thank you very much, Bob. I think it's really inspirational for people who are in a dark place right now, and see people shining bright, being the commander.
Yes.
And taking responsibility for all. That's the starting point, I think. Taking responsibility for your feelings, for your pain, for everything in your life. And
your health.
And your health. But when you take the responsibility, then you feel the power.
Yeah.
Then you feel, okay, it's not a burden to have this responsibility. It's the power to create my own life.
Living. It's called living.
Yes. So I hope people will enjoy this chat.
Well, thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, it was my pleasure.
Keep in touch.
We keep in touch. Send me the stuff we talked about, and we will share this as much as possible. And I just bring the light in these dark times.
Okay, darling. And you, I can see your light from here.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye, Bob. Thank you.
Charlie needs to go outside for a pee.